sometimes grief is just a form of love that doesn't know where it needs to go. So when we grieve something, it tells us we love something.
Yeah.
And it means it meant something. And that is a very important part, because we need to create a space where we can say, listen, we love, and then it's okay to grieve. And for men, especially in society, they don't, like you said, they don't always have that place to go. If you ask them, how are you? No, I'm good.
Mm.
How's stuff? No, I'm fine. For men, there needs to be a safe space to go and say, listen, I don't feel well. I don't feel okay. And we need to create a space. And I think the first step that we can do is, as a man, even as a woman, but especially for men to create that space, is to go and say, listen, hey, are you okay? And not just ask, how was the rugby? How was the weather? How is this? Just say, listen, are you okay? Are you coping? Do you want to talk? And I think if you start to make that change as a man and create open spaces, that will give space for men to grieve and not keep everything inside. So they come to a point to scream.
Mm.
And your story is so inspirational because it sums up everything. It sums up how men grieve. It sums up that there's not always a space, that everything bottles up, and how important it is.
It's very important to be honest with yourself and how you feel.
But I also think you've created an environment for yourself to go to, because that's also important. It wasn't in your close surroundings. You had to go to a place that's quiet, that you want to go and listen to God, listen to the nature, find your inner strength, inner weaknesses, tap into your soul, tap into your thoughts. And I think that is back to what Meg is saying. You have to create an environment. I always say to people, if you work with clients, there's no grieving or expiry date on grief. You know, people want you to move over and you must be okay and tomorrow is going to be a better day, but you don't feel that. How do you know I'm going to feel better tomorrow? I need this process and I need to sit in this pain. I don't say you have to be stuck in it, but you have to go through all the emotions, all the whole
through
process.
the storm.
You have to. You have
Walk
to
right
have the
through it.
disbelief. You have to have the depression. You have your different stages. But again, you have to acknowledge to, create a safe space, make space, go to a safe environment like you've now said. I want to know the process that you've started. So were you writing? Were you talking to your dad while you were there?
During the whole course of my father's the diagnosis and the whole process, we never sat down and actually speak of what was coming. So I didn't have conversations with him in terms of, listen, I'm scared, I'm in a bad state, because I don't want to burden him with those type of conversations. So I took those conversations and I wrote them down as if I was speaking to him,
which is amazing.
telling him how I felt, telling him what I'm going through.
And that's journaling.
Yeah.
Because it was your raw emotions that you just had to put it on paper. The person wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that is amazing if you can do it.
Or just verbalize really truthfully how you feel. I even really used swear words when I was explaining there how I felt, meaning not to swear, but I mean just to let it out. Before God, we try to be so perfect, but He knows who we are. Né? So when you are really truthful of how you feel, and you verbalize it, and like you said, I had to go through a process to find a safe space, and the safe space wasn't in my study or very close to Pretoria. I had to travel 12 hours into the Gramadulas to find my safe space, and even that process was the build-up of what had to follow, and it's testing you. Do you really want to feel better? No, because it's quite easy to go to your study and go through that process. And I don't say don't do that, but I mean, if you really want something, you're gonna work very hard for it. And that tested me, and I think that's almost a test that God puts there for us in terms of, listen, you need to walk that route, and God is already there waiting for you, but you need to go there where He is.
At least we must just decide to start a process and to say, listen, I'm grieving and this is my journey and my process. We have so many people that, they would love to give advice, but at the end of the day, you are walking.
There were nobody around me that told me something that I actually, that made it better. I mean, I was actively going to a counselor, our pastor at the church. I mean, my family is around me, but no one really can tell you. There's no manual for losing someone or getting out of a trauma and a grief state. There's just a process.
Yes, each journey is different.
Yeah.
And you can't say what's going to work for this one is going to work for her. She might be, okay, just to handle the situation privately. And for the next one is I have to go away.
Yeah.
So you have to find out what's the best for you.
And now at the end, I can look at my relationship with my father. And that really motivates me to be a better father for my son. I really almost had the perfect relationship a father and son can have. And we've got a duty as fathers as well to establish those relationships, especially with our sons.
It's a fatherless generation.
Exactly, and that causes a lot of other problems out there. And I couldn't get enough from him, out of that relationship. I just wanted more and more and more. So again, you as a father, just give and give.
What will you say is the best tips and advice for men that's listening today, that's battling with either loss of a business, a partner, a parent?
I think it's to accept the fact that it's going to be a process. And it's maybe not going to take a week or a month. At the end, there wasn't a single action that I took that helped me. It was the build-up of a few things I did. And again, to be honest with yourself, to verbalize that, find somebody that you can trust, that you can really share your heart with. And I mean, our wives, they are there. It's always an internal battle for us as men, in terms of, okay, I need to protect my children and my wife. They cannot see that I'm weak, because otherwise they're gonna wonder, okay, what's coming. But our wives are there for a reason, and emotionally they are strong enough. In a sense, actually stronger than us as men. They are emotionally strong enough to handle that vulnerability that we can actually show them. So that really helped. I mean, doing some sports that actually also help. So I think things that can worsen is if you start to
isolating
yourself and bad habits that can really harden the process.
Or do something. Men can tell us about that with the younger generation, because we were discussing it recently with the younger generation, and I mean the older one as well. You can mention something about a discussion we had a few weeks ago with a person that's younger, that's also been through a lot. Unfortunately, some go to the wrong places, to the wrong people, doing the wrong things. So I don't know what your idea on that.
So I think people often soothe themselves, but there's a way to soothe yourself, and it's not using bad habits. When you sit in that place and you ask yourself, now it's the same people, it's the same habits, the same conversation, like every other Friday night. Where's that going to get me? What's that going to bring value to me as a person? How am I going to grow? Is this conversation feeding me? Or is it just a repeat of everything that's negative? And it's negative on your health, it's negative on your mindset. I'm not saying don't be social. To be social is amazing, but do it in the right company. You mentioned going to your family, going to safe spaces. Don't go find yourself at the end of the bottle. It's not going to do you any good. Rather go through the storm, walk through it, face the process, because you're going to come out so much stronger.
And you need to embrace grief, actually.
Absolutely.
Because grief and that pain stems of that person that you've lost.
And you're celebrating the person
you're
still. You're
celebrating
the joys, the memories. I think it's so important to realize that the person is not coming back, but you don't have to forget the person, because people will tell you, oh, you have to move on. Oh, you know this and that. But you don't have to. It's part of you.
No.
It's your memories. It's your feelings. So yeah, you have to embrace it. I think it's absolutely important.
It's actually, at the end of the day, I can call it beautiful.
Yeah.
That grief.
That's true.
Because you sit with it, but there's a very beautiful story in the relationship that caused that grief. So embrace the grief. And like you said, there's no set process or actually a timeline to follow.
I want to ask you something. If you can have a message for men today that's really on suicidal point, no hope.
Find God and speak truthfully to God. He is already waiting for you. You just need to show up.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for sharing. It's been wonderful.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.